There was a point in time that Spider Tanks, a game on Gala Games, was essentially the only thing we were covering on this channel. The bear market, it was tough, but Spider Tanks, it kept us at least a little bit entertained. I played over 3,000 games of this game. It was insane. I mean, I grinded the hell out of this thing. I was one of those scholars in the trenches, working and having fun with the community. But at one point, things soured. And the first we'd heard was from Gala Games of their side of the story on why Spider Tanks ended up discontinuing its development and why the contracts weren't really in their favor. So they were just going ahead and distancing themselves. Now, with this being said, we never really got to hear Game Media's side of the story. Game Media being the actual developers behind Spider Tanks. They were also building several other titles. If you ever remember those little chest NFTs on the OpenSea store for Spider Tanks, Wizards, and Warriors, that was one of those titles. Well, Game Media has officially, for the first time in a very long time, has given an update on not only the legal situation, but just the situation between them and Gala Games. I want to quickly say this before we get into this, that I hope that both of these teams will come to some sort of conclusion that will benefit the Gala community. I have played a ridiculous amount of this game, and it would really, really be such a shame for all of this to go down the dumpster just because one side doesn't agree with the other side. It would be incredible to see this situation end positively. Am I optimistic on that resolution? No, I'm not optimistic on that resolution. And, I'll be going over that right now. So this is the public statement. I'm pretty much going to read it word for word. I'm not going to play around with the words because legal things I don't like messing around with. So we shall read it for what it is. Dear Spider Tanks community, we deeply regret not addressing you sooner, and we apologize for any confusion or concern our silence may have caused. Initially, we chose to defer to Gala Games for community communication as a courtesy. However, our respect turned to apprehension as Gala Games started threatening us with legal action in December. This inhibited us from speaking out sooner, but we believe now it is the right time to do so. So very interesting. I wonder what it was that made them, able to do this. Our journey with Spider Tanks began when Gala Games approached us to form a partnership in early 2021. Under this partnership, Gala Games would publish, promote, and provide a development budget for Spider Tanks, one of our then unannounced projects. In return, we were tasked with delivering specific development milestones, with the final milestone scheduled for completion in November 2021. Gala Games would in turn have rights to use the Spider Tanks IP for 3 years after reaching this scheduled milestone. Initially hesitant and unfamiliar with NFTs and cryptocurrency, we were drawn to Gala Games' mission, empowering gamers to supplement their income and prioritizing the well-being of both games and gamers. The overwhelming monetary support Spider Tanks received from the Gala Games community in our first year after passing the node vote reaffirmed that we were not the only ones who believed in the mission, and I as well was part of that exit liquidity. We continued to invest our share of the revenue into Spider Tanks as 2022 began, and with all scheduled development milestones behind us. Motivated by our love for the game, our sense of responsibility to deliver on the community's expectations, and our trust in Gala Games to fulfill their part of the mission, we pressed on. However, we soon began to notice troubling signs in Gala Games' behavior, not only in their collaboration with us, but also in their interactions with our players. While Gala Games outwardly appeared dedicated to games, gamers, and their mission, their actions painted a different picture. Required Gala chain features, marketing commitments, and revenue payments were repeatedly delayed, while punitive systems like Honor were forcibly introduced into Spider Tanks. We took up responsibilities like Spider Fridays, making trailers, or organizing events to compensate for Gala Games' lack of resources for marketing and community engagement, while Gala Games aggressively expanded into unrelated industries like film and music, spending millions on fruitless celebrity partnerships, jets, I love how he said jets, and real estate. Shout out to 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐵 for that one. Gala Games' prioritization of rapid growth and enrichment over their core vision and promise concerned us deeply. By 2023, it became evident that Gala Games had no intention of utilizing their half of the substantial 2021 Spider Tanks revenue or to fulfill their promises. They announced having burned the remainder of this revenue with the introduction of Gala V2, their publisher responsibilities, such as user acquisition for Spider Tanks, were suddenly gated behind an eat what you kill principle, while monthly revenue and daily active user numbers were at an all-time low. Gala Games held SpiderTank's players responsible for coughing up again what they had already contributed, all under the premise that selling keeps the lights on and the game live. The realization was deeply distressing for us, as we had not only invested significantly in SpiderTanks, but had also committed heavily to a broader future with Gala Games based on their promises. We had invested considerable effort and resources into other titles, Stoda and Wizards and Warriors, to prepare them for this future. Contracts for these titles were drawn up by Gala Games and signed by us, but despite initial letters of intent being signed and Gala Games' leadership continuously expressing their desire to have these titles on their platform, these contracts never ended up being signed by Gala Games. We had gone as far as purchasing a new office building, fully prepared to accommodate new talented staff to work on these titles in SpiderTanks. Moreover, we had redirected all of our focus and resources away from the revenue sources we had prior to our collaboration with Gala Games, so we could not be distracted from SpiderTanks and our future with Gala Games. We were fully committed to SpiderTanks, its community, and our future with Gala Games. We have made numerous efforts to address our concerns and advocate for mission realignment and sustainable collaboration with Gala Games. We have even been open to more definitive solutions, such as the sale of the SpiderTanks IP or even game media as a whole. However, even in these conversations, Gala Games remain stuck in their pattern of making promises without delivering on them, further deteriorating trust. We felt incredibly misled and exploited. In October 2023, we had exhausted all avenues to steer Gala Games back to their stated mission and away from the path that would mean squandering SpiderTanks' potential and endangering the future of our company and employees. We could no longer allow Gala Games to continue to use our commitment to the game and our IP to enrich themselves at the expense of the community. With heavy hearts, we were forced to fully disengage from further investment in new content for SpiderTanks on the Gala Games platform. This is interesting that they're saying on the Gala Games platform. It makes me wonder if they're still developing SpiderTanks in any extent here. Maybe not on the Gala Games platform. Since then, Gala Games has publicly defamed us in an attempt to shift blame for their shortcomings. In their effort to eliminate us, they've resorted to legal action and sought to unjustly take our intellectual property to further their own agenda. They have tried to portray us as opportunistic, greedy, and evil, a mere projection of their own behavior. Sheesh. As some of us may recognize, we're not the only ones who have fallen victim to Gala Games' actions. A pattern emerges when examining Gala Games' other projects: failure to deliver on commitments, shifting blame, twisting the truth, and a reluctance to take responsibility. Other third-party developers are also entangled, I'll go ahead and zoom in here, are also entangled in legal disputes with Gala Games. The internal Vox team faced terminations and accusations of dishonesty. The Martinez team was fired and labeled as slow and non-cooperative, and numerous other projects massively lucrative for Gala Games in the past have failed without any accountability being taken by Gala Games. Meanwhile, all of Gala Games' co-founders, many shareholders, and many employees have been fired, bullied away, or sued, all supposedly for the greater good, according to the Gala Games that remains. We understand that our story contradicts much of the information Gala Games has been feeding you in the past months, but we possess an extensive record of communication between Gala Games and ourselves, some of which has been and will be made further public in the active legal dispute. This record should provide ample proof supporting our statement. For now, we know that this narrative will resonate with many individuals, players, guilds, or other parties who are or have been involved with Gala Games over the past years. If this applies to you, please do not hesitate to speak up. So you click on that. They have a Google Drive here that pretty much, shows their declaration, right? And I'm not going to be going into it only because legal stuff is not my expertise, and I'm not going to pretend that I can read that and understand anything that is happening there. And so we're left with this situation, right? We're left with the Timbo Slice situation where, him as well as Fortune Crypto have put well over $1 million into SpiderTanks NFTs in the hopes of creating an amazing esports community based around the game. The GG Collective has been running things for the past year and has put in multiple proposals for esports tournaments that have all ended up not going through. And so what I want to end this with is there are two sides to every story. And I know some people are going to comment in this video and say, oh, but Gala has this other side over, but this is normal business. I think it's important to get both sides of the story. We had heard of Gala's side for essentially the entire past year. And so this is game media's side. And as someone that owned a lot of Gala Games' SpiderTanks assets at one point, and, you know, played this game pretty much religiously, I've got some empathy. You know, I also went pretty much all in on Spider Tanks, and I totally get the emotional attachment to this game and wanting to make it work. So hopefully at some point something good comes out of this, but this is the news right now. And the news, it kind of is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the breaking news. Until the next time, stay classy, and that's all.